Okay, we're continuing with the Gospel according to Mark. We're doing chapter 6, verses 30 to 56. And the first image for this is the illustration of the miracle of feeding the multitude, the 5,000, with the loaves of bread and the fishes. He started out with 5 loaves of bread and a couple fishes, and he was able to make it into a bunch more to feed everybody in the crowd. Everywhere he goes, the crowds are following him because they want to hear what he has to say and they want to be healed. Here then is when he walked on water, and there's a couple really good songs that come from this. En tu inmenso mar is a Spanish song that's great from this. Una gota en tu inmenso mar. And the other one is Oceans, Where Feet May Fail by Hillsong. I'll put the links in the description below to both of those songs. Here's a nicer painting, I think, here. This one is Jesus Walks on Water, painted by Amedee Varint in 1850. So that's a pretty good painting there. Okay, so let's get to the text here. The feeding of the 5,000. Meanwhile, the apostles gathered around Jesus and brought him news of all that they had done and taught. And he said to them, "Come with me privately to a solitary place and let us rest for a while." For many people were coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. So they went away in a boat by themselves to a solitary place. But many people saw them leaving and recognized them. They ran together on foot from all the towns and arrived before them. When Jesus stepped ashore and saw a large crowd, he had compassion for them, because they seemed like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. By now the hour was already getting late. So the disciples came to Jesus and said, "This is a desolate place, and the hour is already late. Let us dismiss the crowd so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." But Jesus said to them, "You give them something to eat." And they asked him, "Should we go out and spend 200 denarii to give all of them the bread to eat?" "Go and see how many loaves you have," Jesus told them. And then after checking, they said 5 and 2 fish. Then Jesus directed them to have people sit in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. Taking out the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, Jesus spoke a blessing and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to his disciples and set before the people. And he divided the 2 fish and the bread amongst all of them. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up the 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish, and there were 5,000 men who had eaten the loaves. Next section, Jesus walks on water. Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to Bethesda, while he dismissed the crowd. After bidding them farewell, he went up to the mountain to pray. So he was separated from them. When evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and Jesus was alone on land. He could see that the disciples were straining to row because the wind was against them. About the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the sea. He intended to pass by them, but when they saw him walking on the sea, they cried out, thinking he was a ghost, for they all saw him and were terrified. But Jesus spoke at once, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." Then he climbed into the boat with them, and the wind died down. And the disciples were utterly astounded, for they had not understood about the loaves, but their hearts had been hardened. They're sort of starting to realize he really is God. Jesus heals at Gennesaret. When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret and moored the boat. As soon as they got out of the boat, the people recognized Jesus. And they ran through the whole region, carrying the sick on mats to wherever they heard he was. And wherever he went, villages and towns and countrysides, they laid the sick in the marketplaces and begged him just to let them touch the fringe of his cloak, the hem of his garment, and all who touched him were healed. Okay, so that's it for chapter 6, Gospel according to Mark. Hope you found it helpful.